Hi, it's Gaz here from Moth Creaturae. Happy New Year. I certainly hope you haven't been waking up with hangovers or 2-day hangovers and stuff. A lot of us back in work in like sort of a couple of hours, a couple of days time, and it sucks really, but anyway, we've seen the end of that year, that bloody god-awful year, and hopefully this year will be a little bit better. I'm actually recording this video on New Year's Eve. I ain't got time to post it. It's not because I edit, because as you all well know, I don't edit my videos. I kind of like do one take, and if I've got to redo it, I've got to redo it. I just try and get everything out, good old fashioned sort of rambling style, get it all off my chest, and then hopefully that's enough, and if I've missed something, I'll pick it up next time. But this video, I really want to get into the habit of start actual videoing me doing stuff, it's always been laid back, it's always been like kind of informal. My swear jaw's filling up. I need to watch my P's and Q's a little bit, not because I'm trying to pretend I'm someone I'm not, it's just I appreciate that a lot of people watching or listening kind of don't like me effing and blinding, so I'm going to try and curb that, or I am curbing it. But what I figured I would do, last year I would do something for a project, and then I would do a recap video, and I really want to get out the habit of doing that, and it all just comes with confidence. I didn't really want to sort of waste your time watching me pissing around, there's another one for the swear jaw, messing around doing stuff, or even make mistakes in front of you, and then get scrutinized by some people on the internet, and it's just confidence in it. But ultimately, we're all honest, we're all genuine, we all make mistakes, no one's perfect. So I figured, well, you know what it is, I'm just going to start doing the videos of me doing stuff, and you'll see me thought process along the way, how I figure things out, But this first video, we're in the wood shop because I've got the fire on because it's bloody freezing outside, and I figured I'd put the fire on, and while the fire's warming up because I'm going to make a brew, while the brew's on, I thought I'd spin you a little dit so you can get to know a little bit more about me, Gaz. A lot of my dits, been in the army for like 22 years now, coming up 23 years. I'm soon to be leaving, and I say that with a smile on my face, which saddens us actually, because many of these years have been amazing, fantastic. Now the dits that I spin you, they're not going to be sad tales, and they're not going to be sort of me whinging, about ultimately what I can't change. But I'll spin you some of the happier dits, and a lot of the really good positive experiences I've had whilst in the military, what indirectly through being in the military. Do you get what I mean? It kind of wasn't like set up because of the military, it wasn't specifically because of my job, but it was like a sort of fallout of doing my job or being in particular areas, at the time. And one more recent one was me making acquaintance with a guy called Mark, who I'd fortunate enough to have had a chat with him on a couple of occasions then, and then went and sat and bored him to tears for a couple of hours. He's a lovely geezer, really humble bloke, and he's ex-military, he's a veteran. So I mean, there's a really strong veteran community, where everyone supports veteran-owned business and stuff. But Mark, very much, he hasn't got ties with the military or nothing, right? He's still proud of his, and he's still got friends in the military. But he's set up his own business, which has not got any affiliation to the military. That's very much like Moth Creaturae. He might be an ex-serviceman, like myself, armed forces military bloke, but our brands are not sort of entwined with the military. As much as they will support the veteran community and the military, they're kind of not there specifically for them. There's a lot of military-esque businesses out there who do a fantastic job, and they do a great job. But kind of the direction that we both went was a kind of away from that. Now, he does a very different thing to me, albeit he's very creative. Now, Mark set up his own coffee shop, not just a coffee shop, but also the people who make the coffee. So he imported from source, right, as a bean, and then he sort of grinds it. I've been to his place, it's amazing. You need to check him out, Flat Cap Coffee, right? I've actually got one of his bags here from last time I went down to see him. And we had a chin wag for ages, and he'll grind it for what you need to use it for. So whether you're using a coffee machine, whether you're using a sort of, what the hell do they call them? Not decanters, you know what I mean? Like a gravy jug in it with a sieve that you push down. I can't remember what they call them. But he'll grind it for that. Or, like in my case, I've got one of these little mocha pots. And so I told him when I was going in, so he ground it specifically for this. Too fine, it would go through the small holes, whereas it needs to be finer for these, I can't remember what the hell it's called, but it needs to be finer for these jug things, whereas this, it needs to be a little bit coarser, you know, so it doesn't go through the things and you don't get any grit in your coffee. And absolutely what you get is just lovely, like sort of caramelly, you know. Anyway, I'm gonna hide this on, right? I've got it full of water. I ain't got a kitchen in here, and I didn't want it pissing out all over my router table. There's another one for the swear jar, sorry. Right, bear with us 2 seconds. So the thing is with this one, this is my second one. What the hell's it called? Bialati Bricker, right? I don't know. I bought one of these years ago, right? It was a smaller one. It was for 2-cup espresso, right? It was tiny. It was probably about the size of that, complete with a base. And it was all like this hexagonal, is it 2? Yeah, whatever. And I used to put it in my day sack, like, so when I was like, you know, when I got older in my career, not like a young lad, but you carry all your kit with you. And I thought what was really Gucci, obviously famous brand, but in the army term, it means something that's really cool, right? Something that's really sort of swanky or posh. So it was really Gucci to have one of these, right? As opposed to a jet boil or something, which everyone had. I had one of these in my little pocket rocket, and I was sitting somewhere, not talking about a harbour area or something, but if I was sitting somewhere where I had the space, the real estate to do it, I'd get this out, I'd have my little coffee in. You know what it is? It brings such a smile to my face. And more so, it would raise morale of other people. Other people were quite inspired by it. They'd be like, oh, that's amazing, that, you know, like sort of living the luxury when you're in the shit, basically. Right, so I'm gonna hide this dude, get some sawdust in it. I'm gonna crack this open. Now for years, I'd been buying my own coffee, bought like this, bought from supermarkets. And it would be the brands that I knew, kind of Costa or Starbucks or something. I probably preferred the Costa one to the Starbucks one. It was just my own taste on it. But I like Starbucks. But anyway, going back, over the recent years, there's a lot of small companies set up their own little coffee sort of brands. Fantastic, amazing. And it's probably, I've never really been interested, and it was probably the affiliation with the military why I wasn't interested. And that's, you know, these brands are mega successful, you know, fucking hell, some of them will be floating on the stock market, you know, they'll be getting that bloody successful. And but it seemed to be something that everyone was doing. The military is very much like that, where people see something and everyone repeats it, and it can be quite frustrating. And probably because of my sort of negative latter year experiences in the military, I kind of don't want to do anything associated with the military, right? So when I heard about Mark's, and it was through military channels, but not directly with work, it was like mutual friends, I heard about what Mark was doing with his brand, Flat Pack Coffee, the Flat Cap Coffee. I kind of was intrigued. And so we chatted a little bit. It wasn't just about the coffee, it was about other things like business stuff and what have you. And I really like the geezer, and I really like his sort of vibe, to be honest with you. I really like his sort of outlook on things. Really humble bloke. And it kind of like, I wanted to go and chat with him. I was in this area where he works, like where he's got his place, and I thought, well, you know what it is, I'll message him, tell him I'm in the area. So I did, and he was like, come down, we'll have a chill mag, a couple of brews. So I went down, and honestly, what a lovely geezer, man. Just, and the banter started flowing. We had loads of chats and that about our military experiences that we both relate to, you know. And I thought, well, I'm there, why not? Why not support a small brand, you know, like a small business? And why say small? He's not small, he's not Moth Creaturae small, you know. Anyway, we'll hide that on there. See how we're fair. It's first brew I've made on this. But while that's going on, I thought I'll give you a quick chinwag, right? So the other day I was mega touched by an old friend. You kind of, life takes over sometimes, and you kind of see your friends less and less, and especially as you get older, you know, and your kids and you, this and the other. In business this year has been mad with cutting ties with people, and just physically, you know, but then also the military, we get in a habit of moving from job to job. So kind of you stay in touch with a few people, but not everyone really, because you don't have the capacity to like keep in touch with everyone you meet, you know. You'd never have a moment's peace, you'd never have a moment yourself or with your family. But because of that, and because of that happening, you kind of, before you even realise it, you know, you cut off from people, you know, you haven't seen them in years, you know. And this is why people always go on about, you can tell a true friendship, because you don't see each other for years, and then when you do see each other, you just pick it up like you left off, you know, which is true. But it's such a shame, you know, all that wasted time with people that you actually want in your life, because you get on with. And then a few days ago, after Christmas, or before Christmas, I got a text message to join a Teams video, and it was off a few old mates, like various ranks in the military, a few old mates in the military, and if you not rest you there, and I thought, you know, it's a very corporate thing to do, right? Teams video, yeah, let's have a meeting, you know, everyone was bevied up, like, you know, and but I thought, I goes, yeah, go on then. And normally I typically say no to stuff, but I thought, nah, I'll just say yeah. So I took myself in the kitchen, sat myself on a kitchen table on the bench, got me bottle of drink. I fancied a bottle of Kraken that night, and I did have a bottle of Kraken as well. That's not great, like, I'm not bragging. I felt rough the next day. I'm sure I gave myself alcohol poisoning. But I sat there with an old Jamaican bottle of ginger, a couple of them, and a bottle of Kraken, some ice, big cup, and just had the banter with them. Now, literally, I just got invited into this thing, just went on it, never done it before. And one of the lads there, Chris, he goes, guys, literally, I just got on there, tell everyone about the time when you passed your course, right? I'm not going on about which course, it's irrelevant, but tell everyone about when you passed that course. I was like, all right, straight away. So yeah, so I was like, right, so this course was a 6-month course, right? And before you pass, well, when you pass, you know, everything's like quite, you kind of know you're going to pass, but like flipping, even at the last moment, people have been thinned out before, like chinned off, sacked. And I went out on the drink the night before. I did well on this course. Went out on the drink the night before with some friends that lived in the area. I went out, got absolutely tanked up. And one of the things about me is, like, I'm not dangerous, I'm not like sort of nasty, there's nothing like that in us. I'm stupid. And I do get naked a lot, like when I'm drunk, like which is stupid. And especially when you're not packing, like. Anyway, I come in off the drink that night, minging drunk, and I knew the next day we were going to be getting drunk in the workplace sort of drinking area, you know. And after 40s and meetings with bosses and stuff. Anyway, I got in off the drink and I decided I'd let myself go a bit, like, you know. I got a marker pen out and I drew a massive 6-pack on my belly, and it wasn't a good 6-pack, it was ridiculous. Drew a massive 6-pack and I drew a massive schlong on my left leg. It's really stupid. Drew a massive schlong on my left leg, and then went to sleep. Nothing more of it. And it was the next day. We had to be in work for like sort of 8 o'clock, 8:30 or something, and I get two of the lads that were on the course with us come busting in my door. Guys, get up, man, get up. And I was like, fuck, what's going on? Like, I had an hour's kip or something, 2 hours kip. And they were like, you slept in for your interview? And I was like, oh, fuck. Hair was still gelled, half shaven and that. And I just got up, had me work clothes on. And, you know, washing out, didn't brush my teeth. I absolutely stunk of like bloody VK Blue or whatever the hell it was. And ran across to work, ran in for the interview. You know, really fortunately, but bad for me at the time. But good, I suppose. The bosses that were running this course were the soundest blokes that I've had the pleasure of going on a course, like, working under, you know. And it was it was a real shame. I felt horrible inside because all of them, right, were the type of boss that they were like disappointed dad chat, you know. So they didn't go angry and off their nut, and kind of brace yourself for that, you know, and you'd be prepared for that. It's like, kill some slack. But when they give you the sort of disappointed dad chat, oh, it fucking melts you, you know. And they were all disappointed in us. They told us how well I'd done on the course, how they were impressed with us, and then to sleep in was just insanity. And they were like, you know, you're lucky you did as well as you did on the course, otherwise we'd get rid of you at this stage. For you just totally chinned off. Anyway, fast forward, I passed. Did the things that we were going to do, suffering with a proper bad head. And when you're up and you're forced to be up, you just need to get back on it, really. And I'm not advising you to do that, you know, but it's just how we each deal with it. I didn't have the opportunity to go back to sleep. So anyway, did what we had to do that day, and then we ended up down the bar at the bottom, got changed out with work clothes, got into like sort of civvy clothes and that, and jeans. Went down the bottom. Here's the coffee going, so I'll just listen in while I'm talking. But went down the bottom, down the bar, and I thought to myself, right, I know I'm getting naked. Oh, here we go. Hang on, we'll come back to this. Now the good thing about this thing, and I take it off just before it finishes because I don't want to bloody burn it all out, but the good thing about this thing is, watch this. My smaller one of these little coffee pots had a different top opening, right? So what happens is all the coffee just spurts out. Now this one's got like kind of a little cap valve, so when the steam sort of hits it and whatever, I'm just going to hide that on the floor so it'll cool down. When the sort of steamed coffee goes through it, it hits this valve, lifts it, and it kind of causes like an almost a crema effect. So it's yeah, really good. Anyway, you can only get it in the bigger ones. I think that's meant to be a 12 espresso thing. Clearly I'm having a big cup with 12 espressos in. It's not 12, I think it's like sort of 6 mini ones or something. But anyway, this one I'm going to do with me brew, right? Bear with us. Watch this magic. I'm not using machines today, so I can hoist something else in there. Bit of honey, fresh from the local place just down the road there. It's just got like loads of beehives and what have you, lush. It's like £5 for a little jar like this. That's a little. £5. You pay more than that in the supermarket for something half the size. And this is fresh from the fields, it's lush. Anyway, hide that in there, give that a stir when it's red hot. Next thing, and it's only because it's the last of it, my little Christmas jumper, Maker's Mark. Like I say, I'm not using machines today, so I can hide this in. There we go, and that's the rest of that. Keep our Christmas jumper for next year. Right, I like the smell of that lush. I'm going to finish it off, a bit of milk, hang on. Keep it outside in the cold. It's not frothed, so it's not a coffee shop one, but it's my sort of pikey, alky, half and half, what the hell do they call them? Flat white. Lush. There's some more wood in there. Oh, dear me. Right, so just hoist some more wood in there, get that going. It's lovely and warm in here now, but if it dies off, it takes a while to get back going again, and the frost comes back in quite quick. Obviously it's stone floor, didn't think about putting underfloor heating in, did I? And pig pen bloody roofs, so there's no insulation or nothing. Anyway, let's get back to what we're talking about. Lush. I knew I'd be getting naked in this bar, this function. And I thought, what would be funnier than getting naked when everyone's sober? Just weird people out. I don't do stuff because I'm a jester. I don't do stuff to amuse other people, you know. I do stuff to amuse me. And sometimes it amuses other people, which is great, you know. You get your like, sort of little rally and support there, you know. So you're like, yeah, I want to win here. But a lot of the time, I'm entertaining me selling people. It's like, who's this fucking lunatic? Like, what's he doing? Like, it's just odd. It's one of them things, isn't it? Anyway, I decided to get naked. So I went in the changing room in this sort of drinking area, workplace drinking area, which we're not allowed anymore in workplaces. But I took all my kit off, folded all up nice and neat, put in the lockers, left my shoes on, stood there naked. Ridiculous. Like a Billy Mitchell body. And I walked through into the bar. And at this point, there was the people that had went in there with us, about 30 people or something, you know, that I knew off my course, and then a few attachments. And some of them were like they were all laughing, you know, but some of them were like, fucking dickhead. And some of them were like, what are you doing, man? Like, you know, and I was like, in my head, I thought, hey, this is good, this is funny. It wasn't funny 3 minutes into it, when everyone stopped laughing and everyone cracked on with their conversations, and then no one really wanted to talk to me because they were a bit weirded out. We're all sober and I was naked. And the 6-pack went down well, so did the massive schlong. But this is the thing about the male anatomy as well. Like, every bloke watching this knows what I'm on about. When you go in the cold sea, you know, in cold river swimming and stuff, what happens to your nads? They disappear, didn't they? So as I'm standing there quite embarrassed and intimidated really, I hid me pecker, and I hid it with the only thing that I had, which was my hands and my cold can of beer. Obviously the cold can of beer made things worse, and it was like sort of on steroids, shrinking away, retreating. So I needed this thing drawn on my leg, you know, and but by no way was I going to remove this can from where it was now. Anyway, it looked like I had 3 sort of valves. Anyway, fast forward, I thought myself, I can't get my clothes back on now. This is how my brain works as well. If I put my clothes back on now, people are going to think I'm an idiot. They'll think, oh, he did it for a rise, he did it for a laugh. So I thought, I don't want them thinking that. This is me over worrying about what people think, but also it's what I thought about myself. So I thought I needed to just grizz it out. Grizz it out means just, you know, show some endurance. So I did, and I was naked by myself for 3 hours. 3 hours by myself in this bar, which was filling up, and at this point there was a lot of people from wider workplace coming in, like lasses and that as well, and I was like, oh my god, I didn't know all these people are coming, like I feel like a right idiot now. And then one of our bosses introduced us to the main sort of, like, he'd be the equivalent, like a branch manager or even a CEO or something, you know. He introduced us to him, and it's like the CEO of the unit, and command officer, and I'm standing talking to this bloke, man, holding a serious chat with him. Well, he's heard really good things about me on my course, and then he's standing looking at this Geordie idiot, right, with like man boobs and a gut with a 6-pack drawn on himself and a schlong drawn on his left leg with a tiny pecker, and he's standing talking real serious stuff about the course that he'd just been on, you know. And I think, what the hell was going on in his head? Did he even entertain the conversation? Well, he entertained it, but did he even take any value from what I was talking about, or did he just think I'm thinking nothing, I should have been sectioned? But you know, the night went on, and then a couple of other geezers got naked as well, because that's just what army geezers do. And then I felt less intimidated as more blokes got naked. But yeah, anyway, a quick tit about me, like stupid, harmless, but it's just stupid, you know. Anyway, bring what on to what we're doing today. Right, where put me bro doing. So the last video you'll have seen was my helmet, my motorcycle helmet that I've decided I'm going to paint. And also on the last video you'll have seen, I sort of scored in these bits where the visor would go in with my Dremel. I'm just going to put that down there. So that's where the visor would, the sort of recessed area where the visor would go in, you know, kind of flip up and down over the sort of aperture there, you know, and sit snug in there. And what I decided I was going to do was get rid of that, blanket in. So I've obviously masked everything off, so it's prepped for paint and stuff, and I've also masked it off, sanded it and stuff, and removed any ancillary pieces that I don't want to be painted at all, you know, or keyed. But then the bits here, there's no going back now. The bits here, I've kind of went round the fiberglass shells, these lids. So what I've done is I've scored it with my Dremel, and then with a disc cutter. And the reason for that is when I do fill this area here with fiberglass resin and also glass fibers, it'll have something else to purchase on, instead of just being like a sort of ear-shaped blank that fits in there, which potentially, like, I worry about stuff, consequences and stuff, not all the time unfortunately, but with doing stuff like this I do. So I didn't want to just flying out at speed and hitting another rider or hitting a car or something, or a pedestrian, or even causing complications if I crash and take a tumble and my helmet takes a smash, and that bit causes more complications. So I figured, well, how am I going to keep that blank in there? And then I come up with the idea, these bits here that actually go into the side, that the visor clips onto, these are the mounts that go in, and they're held in place by 2 screws, like sort of decent sized screws, like sort of 10 mil, you know, and quite wide as well, probably about 4 mil wide. And there's 2 points for them. And I figured, right, if I put them half in, half out, you know, the fiberglass will have something to purchase onto. And then it was while I was lifting all my sort of bodywork style stuff out, fiberglass, excuse me, fillers, I come across some metal mesh that I had, really fine metal gauze, and it's useful for doing stuff like patch repairs on plastics. So you've got a bump or split in half, you could maybe join it up where you want it. You could put structural things underneath, like sort of steel, you know, or some sort of fucking metal, and rivet it, sand that back, and then build it up with sort of layers of glass or filler. Or if it's not as bad as that, you could use something like mesh that you're going to cover with glass or filler anyway. And this will give more integrity to the repair than just hiding glass on there itself, fiberglass. So what I figured was, I'm going to cut, and I'll show you this. I'll use these plastic bits as templates, draw around them on the mesh, make them, and then I'll put little holes in and I'll put the screws through like that. So then what I've done is, as well as having all the keying around there, as well as having all the scoring around there, I've now also got mesh for the glass, the fiberglass resin, to fill in the holes there of the mesh, and also so to bond to that, which has got a mechanical fastening to the air helmet with the 2 screws, as well as the fiberglass filling in all these sort of like air holes. So that to me is probably as best as I can do to secure these blanks that I'm going to then make in there. And then what I'm then going to do is use my glass mat, right? Not these crappy end pieces where it's all fraying away, but get some there, you know, from the newer pieces, cut it, only small, not one big piece, but like small strips, and then put this on its side, hoist some glass resin in there, and then start slowly building it up. Put my glass mat on there, brushing on some more resin so it seeps through the glass fibres and also seeps through this thing. And I'll build it up to beyond there, not too far beyond there, because for anyone that hasn't tried to sand glass fibre, it's a nightmare. It's so hard. It is really hard work to get rid of the material once you've put it on there. So I don't want to put an excess on there. I just want to put sufficient build up around here, so it fills in these areas, and it's not too much, you know, to make it too much hard work. And then if I take it away too much, I can use a tiny little bit of filler there, which will almost, it's almost like using a filler paint. Like, so you put your primer paint on, and the way that hards it or goes off, it gives a nice surface for the paint to grip onto. And filler kind of does the same thing, albeit for a bigger gap. But you don't want to be using filler in something like that, because it'll just have no strength, no integrity, and it'll fall out, which is why we've got to go down the route that we're going down. So yeah, so I figured for today, I'll show you me doing the other template for it, and then we'll maybe get some glass resin mixed up and we'll hide that down, you know, on one of the sides, and then we'll call it a day. So I know we've already been 27 minutes. Hopefully it's not been too painful. I'll give you a little funny bit about me so you can start learning about me as a bloke. And I'll probably chat some crap when we're busy doing this as well. But for now, I'm just going to talk you through what I'm doing. So I'm getting me mesh. I'm going to lie it down on the bench like this, and I'm just going to draw around it with me Sharpie on one of the templates. Bear with us. So I'll just angle that so you can actually see what I'm doing instead of just gobbing off. Right, so get my Sharpie pen, put that on the straight edge that I've got there, and then just draw around it. It is like an ear shape. It's quite easy to do. Bear in mind, I've never done any of this stuff before, you know. I literally just like having a go and figure out how I'm going to do it. Now, I have used fiberglass before, and I have used mesh before, metal mesh, but I've never altered a helmet, the shape of a helmet or the style of a helmet. So this is a first. But a lot of things, like in life, you just got to bite the bullet and do it. You'll never know if you can do it if you don't try it. And if you try it and it goes wrong, we just keep trying at it until it goes right. And then when it goes right, you know you can do it. So every time before it goes right is experience. And you keep cracking on and building up that experience until you get it right. And then when people say, do you know how to alter helmets or like modify helmets? You go, yeah. Up until then, it's just a crazy question. Who would even ask you that? But once I see that someone's done it, it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'd like to do that. Right, so now I've made the template. I'll just put this back on. Make sure it's right. You know, if it's off a millimetre or two, it doesn't matter. But through the 2 screw holes, I'll hold a little dot. Just like that. And then what I'll do with my scissors, just so I don't knack it, I'll fold it right over the dot like that. And then just with the end of my scissors, really nice sharp scissors, craft scissors, give it a little nip, right? And then unfold it straight. And then go to the other dot, do the same with that. Right, and then what I did before, just got my pencil, like my mechanical pencil there, the sharp end, and just poke it through that bit that I've just cut. I don't want to make a massive hole there, just something that's about 5mm, So it means that sort of 4mm screw can go through it quite easy. And then with my fingers, because it's only soft mesh, it is metal, but it's only soft, just flatten them pieces back that I've just pushed through, because what I don't want is them getting caught up in the screw thread and damaging the screw, because I need them screws to go in nice and tight, so it'll be nice and solid. Right, so there's that one done. So I'll get my helmet. I really do see the value of people getting proper cameras and stuff now, you know. Right, so we'll line that up, happy with how that sits. So we'll get the screw, the first one, drop it through there. And it's actually screwed into a metal, looks like brass. It looks like brass, it'll not be brass though. It looks like, well, it's metal though. And it's a threaded bolt. So it's a bolt that's like sort of secured inside this helmet. It's probably got a flat cap on the back of it which sits on the inside of the helmet. So it's been pushed in and then sort of glued or epoxied in or something on the other side by the manufacturer. So that's not coming out this way. And once the screw's on this side, it's going to stop it going through the other way if it ever got pushed through. So it'll be nice and tight against the skin of the helmet. Obviously the centre of the bolt's been drilled out and then tapped with, or tapped and dyed, I forget which way it goes, but it's got a thread on the inside which will, obviously this screw or the marries up to. Right, so these mesh sort of inserts that I've just made, the fact is we're not bothered about that being like 100% perfectly flat. It'll actually benefit us more if it's not 100% perfectly flat, because then it gives like sort of alternating surfaces for the glass fibre and the glass resin to adhere to, you know. So it means that more will get underneath it, more will get on top of it, where if it's all the same level surface, very uniformal, it'll give less sort of opportunity to bond. Now what we don't want to do though, whilst we're not bothered about it being too uneven, we don't want it to come beyond the surface of that sort of recessed area, because clearly then it will poke through the glass resin when we've done it, and we don't want it on short at all. So I'm just going to make sure these screws are nice and tight, they're good as gold. So now we've got our sort of mesh inserts in there. Next thing to do is put some glass in. So I'm going to put my helmet on the side, have a bit more brew, put you on charge as well while I'm gobbing off, because I've just seen the little notification come on. Right, hang on. Yeah, you're on charge, good. And you're still recording, great stuff. Right, so I'm going to hold you up here, and I'm going to put you there like that. See, the thing is with iPhones, the bloody charger's on the bottom. So trying to balance you is just a nightmare. Right, what's that like? That'll work. Happy with that. The only thing with it not being steamed milk, it cools down really quick. What I need to do, get some gloves. Now normally I'll use my like sort of work gloves in here, my workwear gloves. They're a bit durable, tough, but they're not waterproof or anything. So for this, I don't want to get any glass fibres. If you've ever worked with fiberglass, it'd be a nightmare, man. Absolute nightmare. Bits flying off, bits like plinging out. And it's really sharp, and clearly it's almost see-through. Some of these fibres are almost see-through. They're like hair-like, so you don't see them, but you'll feel it. And so I'm just going to hoist some goggles on, because I don't want to get it in my eye. I'm so lucky to still have eyesight, man, because the amount of crap that's went in my eyes over the years because of me just winging things. So what we're going to do, shift out the old ones there. Actually, we'll probably reuse some of these. Right, there's the one on the inside there. That's not too bad. See the nice straight edge? That's what we're looking for. We don't want to use this stuff where it's all frayed, because it's not going to give a good sort of area to stick down, you know. So we're going to cut this nice straight piece here, and we're cutting it for one side at the moment. We might end up cutting more, but for now that'll probably do one side. Just hold it up against me thing. Yeah, probably do one side. But like I said, we're not just going to use one piece to stick it down. probably this one, probably going to chop it in half. So we've got 2 pieces like that, right? That sort of size. And then when we're offer it up to the helmet, right, we can trim off a little bit more now, right? So we can see that we've got a bit there. So we'll just get the pen, trim off that piece. Right, like that. So then when we put it in, right, that first piece will sit in there like that. And literally what we're going to do is we're going to patch it up, put a little bit of resin on, well, not a little bit, quite a bit of resin on, put the glass on there, dab it down so it sticks, paint some more resin on there, right? Once it's there, offer the other piece up in this and we'll build it up like that. So before we do that, because I don't want to be offering it up while it's all like minging and tacky, we're just going to cut a few pieces, and we don't want to put them all directly on top of each other like that. We want to kind of like sort of, not like that, we want to crisscross them, you know, so then we can spread out these fibres and they've got better area to stick down to. So this one, we're going to go probably not 90 degrees to it, probably about 45 degrees to it. And again, we're just going to mark it up with the thing where we want it. Right, chop that one there. I don't have a design for this, you know. I'm literally doing it as we're talking. You're seeing me problem solve on the fly here. If there's any tradesmen out there that do this stuff, drop us a comment. You know, how you comment in there. Please don't be brutal with us and be like, "God, you're a dick, what you're doing." But just put on there, you know, what you've done right, or put on there what you think I could do better. Like, obviously, you're in the business, and I'm so open to your advice. I'm not trying to steal your business. You can see that I'll never get your business. I'm really professional. You know, I'm doing stuff for me because I like to do it. But share, you know, and that's what our Moth Creaturae community group's all about, sharing. So hoist some comments on there, let us know what you think, you know, how I could do things better. Right, we'll get another piece. Again, where it's frayed there, I'm just going to get rid of that bit there. Got a nice straight line. Got a nice straight line on that side. Right, and then chop into here. Right, again, need to chop this one down, so we're going to chop that, probably get this one into 3, this one. Chop that one there. And then we're going to lie this one across like that one. Probably go as far to the end as we can, because we want to try and get it as close to them sort of gap bits, what I've cut in, as possible. I'm pressing it down because it's not 100% rigid at the moment, so I'm pressing it down around the edges when I'm using the marker pen, because I want to see where it dips so I can feel the edge of that recess. There we go, so that's that round piece there, for like the top of the ear, if you like, if you imagine it like an ear shape. Right, so put that in there like that. Lovely. And then we'll do the, see that one? And then we'll do the bottom piece. Do you remember the old, when you did it, paper mache stuff at school? That's almost what it's like. So remember the strips of paper that you did, you tear off? There wouldn't be the shape that you wanted the finished piece to be. They would be kind of like straight. So then what happens is they overlap each other, and that's what creates the strength. And that's why we could use glass resin. We could fill this with glass resin and it'll go hard, you know, and it'll fill the area that we want it to fill. But, and it'll be strong. But doing it like this with these fibres that crisscross themselves anyway, and then with the overlapped pieces that I'm making, that adds to that strength. Like, you'll see carbon fibre, you know, carbon fibre, that works in the same principle, but it's a bit more uniform than this. Hence people love the design of it, you know, the finished article, because it has that sort of very uniform appearance with the sort of the way that it's meshed together. Right, I'm happy with that. That's our first one done, like the pieces. Now, because I've cut them, right, I'm going to take them off, and I'm going to be a freak, right? So we did 4 pieces, didn't we? Yeah, this is going to be 4. And I'm writing it on because I want to know which side it goes on. So I've wrote 4 on there, 'cause it's the last piece to go on there. I'm going to write a 3 on this one. So basically, writing the numbers on that side, I won't put it down the wrong way and then pick it up and then wonder why it's not sticking down properly and it's all tacky and I make a figure mess of it. 2, 1, right? So now, what we're going to do, just blow that off. I'm going to hoist some glass resin in there. Get me a little paintbrush, that's stone cold now, it still tastes lush like, but get me a paintbrush. It's a shame because I want a thin one. I've got a thin one there. I don't really want to use one of my painter's brushes. Right, these are my painter's brushes, right, and I don't really want to use them for doing glass fibring. So I think what I need to do, I'll use one of my cheaper ones, right, but I'm going to give it a little haircut. Because that's a bit massive, right, and I'm going to end up getting bloody thingy everywhere, so I'm just going to give it a little haircut. So I'll hold the bristles nice and tight together, and I don't want to chop it to a point in the middle. What I'll do is I'll keep the long ends at one side because I know that they're decent. If I try and chop it all the way in the middle and create a point, it'll make a right mess. So I'm just going to hold it nice and tight there, right, and I'm going to chop on one side of it. Don't want to chop too far down by the metal band, because chopping too far down by the metal band, all the bristles will end up falling out. They'll have no sort of integrity, no strength. it's like trying to, I don't know, it's like trying to transport an egg, a broken egg in a bloody mesh, trying to do this. It just wants to move everywhere out your way. So what I am going to do, right, I thought they wouldn't move as much. I am going to chop the other side down and do it like the same. So it's going to be like a haircut for it. You can see when I'm cutting it. I'm trying to cut, and these are really good scissors, but it's just moving the bristles out the way as opposed to chopping them. A thinner paintbrush, it would just chop them. Right, probably not the best haircut, but it's a lockdown haircut, innit? So we'll just get away with it this year. It is the last of 2020, so we can get away with this. Right, I'm still keeping this on, because when I'm hiding some stuff, I don't want any splashes back in my face, right? Glass resin, so we'll get that. And what we need to do with this is, it's like 2 parts, so you've got your resin, right, which is typically a yellowy colour. It'd be lovely if you can get clear stuff. I've seen a lot of people doing these old, you know, the tables that sort of, they'll have like live wood tables or something, or they'll route out a shape or something, and they'll fill it with epoxy and stuff. I'd love to do something like that. I think I don't think it'd be difficult, to be honest with you. I've seen some amazing work, and I keep using this mnemonic, like keep it simple, stupid. It's so true. If you try and overcomplicate things too much, you can really take away from the actual design. So anyway, we're going to pour this in. You see it's like a honey colour. Now we need to use enough, we need to mix enough. We don't want to mix too little, because then it'll, you know, it's going to mean we're going to have to mix more and this and the other, make more mess. So we're going to mix enough that will be sufficient or a little bit more. Now bear in mind, we need to be quite generous with this, the coatings on. We don't want to be putting like a little amount, we want to be really seeping it through the mesh, you know. So put the lid back on nice and tight, push it down away, store it away. So even if we spill it, it's not going to fall out. And this is the second part that we need to mix in with it, hardener. It actually says hardener on it. Now what they say is for like a sort of a fist size amount of like sort of filler or glass resin, a pea size amount of this. But I'm just going to check here, make sure. Right, cut the glass fibre mat shape, add a pea size amount for 10 ml of resin. Right, that is probably about 5 ml of resin. So you need to put like half a pea size of this in. I always worry, and I'll probably end up overcooking it and putting too much hardener in. I'll have some more wood in there because it's gone off. And of course I come in my bloody skate shoes, and they're not thermal, so the stone floor goes straight through us. I've got some scaffold boards on the floor here at the moment for a job that I'm doing, and they're too long to stand up straight, so I've got them laid on the floor, so there's a little bit of insulation there, wood insulation. Anyway, back to this. Probably got about, actually probably there's about 10 mil in there. Looking at it, because it's quite thick, it's not like water thin. So I'm going to hide a pea-sized amount of this in, right, in the corner. And we'll go with a generous size pea, like a mushy pea, because it doesn't say a garden pea or a mushy pea, so we'll go with that. Yep, and then we're just going to give this a mix up. Now, didn't think about this, did I? Well, the hardener's now going off. So my wood pile over there, the little box next to it for like metal offcuts and stuff. Not good enough to make anything with, but they just can't go in my fire pit. Nice little bit of metal there. We'll give this a mix. And it's so difficult because we need to spread it out across the whole thing, right? But we'll try our best. We'll keep, you know, like when you're cooking eggs, mixing eggs up, we'll just tip it all to that side of the pan. Try and get it all across. And what happens is we get it nice mixed up. It goes like a pinky colour, that really dark pink. Start spreading out over it all. Get it all over the pan, so even the bits at the other side get mixed up with the hardener, and then it's completely lost the pinkness about it. You just end up with an even honey colour all the way across. This mightn't be enough, you know. We'll see. Let's see how we get on. Give it a nice mix up, because what we don't want is like sort of areas that haven't got any hardener like sort of mixed into it, and then when it goes off we might end up with sort of weak points. But I think we're good here, you know. I think we're golden. Like the colour of it. I'm just going to wipe that off and put it down. Be careful where you put that. You don't want to put it anywhere where it's going to, because it'll stick. Right, so then we'll just get a brush, get it in there. Again, any professionals there, hide it on, or you're not even professionals, just people that have done something like this before, hide in the comments, let us know if I'm doing it wrong. So, and then we just hide it in, and we're making sure this first coat here is to sink in to this area. We need it behind the metal mesh. Right, now what I could have done is masked off around the sort of ear shape on the actual helmet surface that I don't want to get it, but I didn't. I'm just going to have to be like uber careful with the brush. Would have been great if I had a thinner brush, but, and I didn't want to use one of my nice ones. Right, so we'll just hide this in, keep building it up. It's probably going to take quite a bit, because remember I put in them little sort of cut shapes as well in the helmet surface of the recess, where I exposed a tiny amount of the actual like sort of original helmet sort of glass structure. Fiberglass, that is. So I'm going to build that up like that. I can see it sort of nicely sort of spreading out now underneath this metal mesh, which is great. That's what we want. Get it all the way to the corners, you know, of the recess. Again, we don't want to leave any sort of areas. So what I'm doing is, every time I'm putting the brush on, I'm pushing down on the mesh, because it's springy, like, you know, it's got like little bends and stuff in it, like I mentioned earlier on. So I'm pushing it down to make sure that it's absolutely full underneath the mesh, because we don't want any little gaps, we don't want any little air pockets, because all that'll do is weaken the any layer that we put on top. It's like you want a good foundation to build on. You don't want to just be sort of winging it on something that's like not too sound underneath. Right, now this is the tricky bit, and I really should have masked that bit off, like, but I didn't, like a goon. What I'm gonna have to do is, I'm gonna have to go beyond where I wanted to, and it's basically the curvature that I want to try and achieve. What I'll have to do is, once I've done this, I'll have to get in there with my Dremel, because sanding it just will not shape it. So I'll have to get in there with my Dremel and shape it how I want it. Just let that roll forward a little bit, like sort of the sort of bead, if you like, the bead of the liquid. Just let it kind of, you know, like when you're trying to fill a little tiny gap when you're painting in your wall and there's a little gap in the plaster and you're trying to like sort of fill it with paint. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to like sort of like guide the drip of paint into the area that I want it to fill, because the brush is just too wide to get into there. So now I've got a nice even spread of my sort of liquid material. Get the first one, number 1, and I'll just orientate the helmet to how I had it before, otherwise I'll put them in the wrong way. So there's 1, right? Even then, see, 1 is a difficult one because it's the same either way up, but we've got it. We've got it, right? So we'll put that in place where we need it, and this is why the rubber gloves are handy, because I can press down on it now without causing an issue, whereas if I had my work gloves on, oh my god, the material would be getting glass on it in there. Anyway, that's in place. Now instead of brushing, because if I brush it I'm going to move that mat, that glass mat that I've just stuck doing. What we do instead is we dab. So we need to make sure we've got plenty resin on there, and we dab. Not dab with your arms across your body like my kid would be doing now, and there'd be stuff getting knocked off the shelves everywhere. On me, trying to be bloody young, trying to keep up with them. Dabbing. But this is a different one, obviously. Dab with your brush. And we need to make sure that we put enough on there that it all sticks down. It'll want to fold up, but it's like, oh Christ, you know, like if you toast a piece of bread, so it goes like, lift a piece of bread up and hold it between your thumb and your finger at one edge, the crust, it's gonna bend. If you hold it out straight, it's gonna bend. Put it in the toaster and it'll go straight. Now we've cut these glass mats small enough that if you held it at the side, it probably would hold straight. However, as soon as you start wetting it, it gets soft and it wants to bend upwards. So we need to put enough of the resin on there that it weights it down. Are you with us? Do you understand? So now we get the second one, number 2. And then this one goes across the other way, doesn't it? The way that we've got to cut, I can see where that fits in nice and neat. So we'll put that in place and then pat it down. Right, now we've got it in place. And we'll get the brush again, we can dab, put some more of the resin on there. Oh, that heat is bloody red hot. It's weird, isn't it, when you concentrate and you just shut your mouth, so all you can hear is breathing. It's probably crap. Like, if any of you are still watching here, I'm mega impressed with you. I know I'm not the most interesting geezer, like, and a lot of people, they like the finished article, but they're not really too fussed about how you get there. So having the patience to do it, or having the patience to sit and watch someone do it, thank you if you're still watching it and supporting this. Right, so like I mentioned before, we need to high enough on there that it actually seeps through and wets the fibres all the way through the fibre. Now the real dangerous thing with this comes in after it goes hard. Get number 3 now, and just high number 3, and that was the tip of the ear, wasn't it? And when it goes hard, them sort of bits that are already quite sharp and dangerous, those hairline bits, when they go hard, they are like needles, more dangerous than needles, because a steel needle will go in you, you know, and it'll cause some damage, but it's steel, so it's going to take a lot of force to snap, whereas one glass shard is sharp and hard enough to go in, but a slightest movement in your skin would snap it, and then because it's almost see-through, you're going to really, it's a hospital visit, that. So that's why I've got the glasses on. You know, I'm getting a bit more sensible in me later years, you know. I'm only 41, you know, but flipping, I am wising up, and unfortunately with me, I wise up by making my own mistakes, which is something I really try to tell my young lad. Try and educate him, you know, how to avoid making mistakes. But he's like me, bless him, you know. And I should be proud of that, but I'm really not, because I'm proud of him. I love him to pieces. He's amazing, and I don't tell him enough, sadly. But I just don't want him to grow up to be like me, because he'll make a lot of mistakes. And if he figured stuff out a lot sooner in life, he'd get where he wants to be in life a lot sooner and a lot earlier in life. He wouldn't be playing catch up like I feel like I am a lot. I suppose we're all a bit like that though. We're always worried that we're not doing well enough in our life and whatever, you know, and we could do better. I likened it to a game of poker recently when I was having a chat. You could sit there. I don't play poker, I don't gamble, like with cards anyway, or on the bookies. But you could sit there with a 17 or an 18, something that's, you know, quite a reasonable hand. You sit there and you think, should I have gone for an extra card or something, you know? I don't know if that's poker or what, but you could go for an extra card, get a 21, and you're sitting there with people around that table, and those people, if you imagine in this scenario, you're not in competition with anyone in this life, right? You're in competition with yourself to make sure that you're happy and to make sure you do the best. But those people sitting around that table, they're opportunities, they're your concerns, they're your worries. So you could sit there with a 17 or an 18, and you could be worried that those people sitting around the table have got a higher card. So you could sit with that card that you've got for the rest of the game, always stressing that you haven't got enough. And should you gamble it all and lose, right, because you could potentially be bust then, or should you stick with what you got, knowing that it mightn't be enough? And that's the life's gamble, isn't it? Do you twist and get that extra one and be out? And bear in mind, if you're out, you don't have to worry about it anymore, you're out. Or you could get the 21, right, or 20, and fucking hell, it'd be unreal, it'd be amazing. But it's a gamble, isn't it? Because when you're sitting pretty with your 17 or your 18, do you do that gamble? Right, anyway, we've done what we needed to do today, I think. We do need to still fill that up, right? But what I don't want to do is wang shitloads on there. I haven't got any more cut. In fact, fuck it. Let's do a couple more. Let's do a couple more passes. But what I'm going to have to do is use my earpiece as another template. I can't offer it up to this because it's already tacky and it'll make a mess. So I'll get my scissors. Cut a new piece, right, nice and straight. Hide the straight edge of this on against it, like my little ear piece that come off the helmet originally. Draw around it like we did before. Cut that out. Now it's a good job that I got all my helmet masked up before doing this, because what I wouldn't want is any of these glass shards going in the remaining little, it's not a liner, I've took all the liner out, but there's that top piece of the helmet, you know, the hard form. Now with this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop it into half down the centre there, but not right in the centre. I'm going to chop it slightly left of it, and then I'll make another one of these and chop it slightly right of it, so then it'll overlap that way. So this one, I'll chop here. Right. So see, it's slightly less than half. The next one I'll do the cut there above it. Right, so I'll hold this on here, like that. Get my brush, dab some more resin in there. So yeah, going back to the card game. Right. How do we know what to do? How do we know what to do for the best? And then the thing is with life as well, we always beat ourselves up about whether we made the right decision about stuff, you know. And what's the point in doing that? There's no point at all. Right, with this one, I'm going to chop it like this. I'm going to reuse all these pieces. I don't want to waste them.